Radio on PIX 102. I'm John Ogle.
I'm Dan Neer.
Oh, hi, I'm Todd Rundgren. I'm still trying to get this junk out of my case here.
She said.
Someone just tossed a bomb through the kitchen window, and in the middle of the shoe flying by, Mama took off like a. She took off like a shot in the dark. She split the scene like a shot in the dark. Ain't got no target, don't aim for no more, 'cause he's lost like a shot in the dark. he knows what I mean. Oh, Roger, let's take your suit. How does she do it, Roger? How does she do it, Roger? How? Roger, has she got her balance right for you, Roger? I asked you, Roger, has she got her balance for you? Has she got it? Has she got it? Roger, 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 Roger. La 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 la
The right to hold you. You know I've always told you that we must never, ever part. Oh, have I the right to kiss you? You know I'll always miss you. I've loved you from the very start. Come right back, I just can't bear it. Touch you. If I could, you'd see how much you send those shivers running down my spine. Ooh, have I the right to thrill you? You know I'm waiting till you give me the right to make you mine. Well, come right back, I just can't bear it. I got to love and I long to share it. Come right back, I'll show my love is strong. Oh yeah, all right. Have I the right to hold you? You know I've always told you that we must never, ever part. No, 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 no. Have I the right to kiss you? You know I'll always miss you. I've loved you from birth. Well, come right back, I just can't bear it. I've got some love and I long to share it. Come right back, I'll show my love is strong. Oh yeah, yeah. Come right back, I just can't bear it. I got some love and I long to share it. Come right back where you belong. Oh yeah, you belong. Oh yeah, you belong.
Okay, back on the air here, I think. Are we back on the air?
Yeah,
okay.
we're in relatively good shape.
We wouldn't know if we weren't on the air, would we? But
Yeah, we would.
anyway, we're back on the air. WPIX Radio.
Our guest disc jockey tonight is Todd Rundgren, and we've just played some songs that you picked out.
Yeah, well, yeah, I did pick those out, didn't I? We started out with Shot in the Dark, which is off of that new Utopia album. Sales Maker of the Week, it says here in the Retail Report and Record World.
That's right.
Aren't we happy about that?
Yeah, you were really surprised to see Sales Maker of the Week. I mean,
It's like we
you
get a
kind
lot of
of-
airplay sometimes, but to actually be a sales maker is something.
Well, we'll talk about this in a minute,
Yes.
but I think this record is going to really follow
It's going to
through.
break it wide open
All the
for
way.
us,
Here
you
it
know?
goes. It's going to do it all.
For the whole country.
Okay, anyway, and also we played Tin Soldier by the Small Faces, which is an old personal favorite of mine, and Roger by a band called Half Nelson, later to become Sparks.
You produced that record, too, didn't you?
Yeah, this is about 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, maybe.
Do you ever lose track? I mean, you produce so much. You know, do you ever just say, wow, did I do that at one time? And there's so many different things that you've been involved with.
Yeah, I don't think about it that much. No, I don't, I do lose track because I don't think about it.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
Usually don't ponder too much the things that have been done already. Got too many things to do to really worry about that.
All right.
And the last one was Have I the Right, which was a desperate measure here. We had to pull out another record real quick because we were noodling around here, and that was Have I the Right by Honeycombs, one of the original punk rock bands that had a girl drummer.
They were on.
Her name was Honey, as a matter of fact.
They were on Hullabaloo, it seems to me, all the time.
They might have been on Hullabaloo. Of course, there was the Hullabaloos on Hullabaloo. They were great.
They were the ones with the platinum
The
hair.
original Police, yeah, they had all the hair bleached blondes, and
The Hullabaloos.
but they did all old Buddy Holly songs. Interesting, sort of like the way these weird lines cross all over the place, come up with these strange combinations. But yeah, that was them. And where are we here? What next?
We could go back to music, or we could talk a little bit about the video things that you've been involved with. I mentioned that I saw you on the cable thing, and they showed a lot of your current video projects.
Well,
I guess
none of that stuff was current. The stuff that's appeared on New York cable TV, that's all old experiments that I had done in the past. The current project that I was working on, which was a video fantasy treatment of Tomita's version of Holst Planets, hasn't been completed yet and won't be seen anywhere until it is completed. It'll be another 6 months at least before that's done. But
Has it ever happened, Todd, that you got involved in a video project and the technology changed after you were halfway into where you...
that's the nature of video technology, is that you can't stay ahead of it. It's also it results in these funny kind of side aberrations, like there's such a desperate thing to have the newest and the greatest, latest thing and everything, that a lot of companies get an idea about something they could possibly make and start advertising it and collecting money on it, even though they haven't made it yet. And they haven't even designed it yet. And then after they get the money, then they take your money and design the thing that they told you they could sell you. That's happened to me a couple times.
Has it happened that you asked them to put something together and they did it, and as a result of that, another thing happened that no one suspected?
By the time you can get any piece of equipment, especially in video or like computer or any of these new high-tech things, by the time you get delivery on something, on an actual item, it's obsolete. It's already been... Some new thing has been designed to replace it. It's just is not available yet. But
Before
by
it
the time
even
you
loses
possess
its
it,
new
you're
smell.
obsolete.
But
It is. It's frustrating, but you have to.
I was wondering if is it as frustrating as it is exciting, or is it the other way?
Well, the whole key is that I don't really feel that the technology is the predicating factor on in terms of audience enjoyment. I think it really takes a good vision. The biggest problem with television is not the equipment and the technical tricks that they use. It's bad writing. They write bad programs, to start with, and they could record them on cheap U-matic, Super 8, as long as it's like the Mr. Bill show.
Right.
It's like that's Super 8. That's got to be the cheapest show on television, and that has national popularity.
In fact,
Sell
you
Mr. Bill T-shirts and everything.
You see the high technology stuff on the commercials, so it's obviously.
Oh yeah, the
can do
high tech
anything
always
they want
winds
to.
up people who can afford to spend it. Which are usually people who
Make commercials.
who are paying for the programs in the first place, right?
There are some who believe that before video discs, which seems to be the thing that is turning up now, crossing over from trade papers into mass consumption kind of magazines and journals, There are those who hold that hologramic sort of video presentations will replace video discs before they, in fact, ever become as popular as I assume their inventor would like them to be.
I don't know about a new technology like, that's like a virgin technology. Moving holograms is something that nobody has even developed in prototypical form at this point. So it's questionable when that'll have to be, eventually will be replaced. As oil and plastic gets harder to come by, everybody's going to want to store their music and pictures and everything on something that eventually can be erased.
Something as convenient as microfilm.
Yeah, well, you get bored, you listen to the record for 6 months, or you decide that the record's no good even after one listening, which happens with a lot of records, and then you just erase it. And I think with that disappearing, probably record stores will disappear too. Sorry, Sam Goody. I don't need being salesmaker of the week. Tough blow to deliver here, but it'll probably, it's not going to happen tomorrow, but eventually it'll be like, pay cable television. You'll just subscribe for a record, and it'll come over some kind of data line into your house or a cable line,
Of course, if all those things are installed, I hope that they keep up on some sort of safeguard with them, because we're getting dangerously close to 1984, and I'd hate to see this technology fall into the wrong hands.
I don't think anybody in government or corporate life has their trip together enough to pull off a 1984. Everything in the world is so factionalized at this point that there's no way that they could even pull that off. I think that there's possibly a 1984 syndrome, but it's much more covert than overt. It's like disco music is a 1984, is symptomatic of 1984 consciousness of music that has really no artistic appeal and is totally mechanized and designed to salve the masses into lobotomized oblivion and things like that. So that's more things like that people actually don't get enforced upon them, but addict themselves to.
Disco is mono technology. In fact, all the disco sound systems in the clubs are mono.
Well, they should go back to mono. I was actually, for the first time, we went out to some discotheques last night. It was for a function that didn't happen to have anything to do with dancing, but it was real. It was a real experience. It was one of those things that, like, if you're not stoned, it's physically unendurable. It's a physically unendurable environment. It's like, it's so intensely loud and painful. And like, I play loud music on stage, but they got like big banks of high frequency drivers, so you can hear the hi-hat and also the triangle, like piercing through your ears and stuff like that. And everybody there is probably so anesthetized, that it doesn't hurt them. But if you go in there like right off the street and you haven't gotten yourself really wasted first, it's like painful.
You can sit down for the entire evening and still leave tired.
Oh yeah, well that's the thing. You get very tired.
The pressure on your chest.
You get very tired from the beating you get with the music. But I don't mind dancing and the dance consciousness. For me, I like, as far as music goes, I like music you can listen to as well as dance to.
How about Kate Bush?
Well, this is definitely not dance music. This is listening music, but this has got a lot of airplay in our house.
You'll find me in a burning bar, in a corner brooding. You know that I go very quiet when I'm listening to
Title, Saxophone Man, I think, or I lost the cover here. I forgot the exact title. That's called Saxophone Song, right? Excuse me, Kate. And I play that for Bean because Bean likes that girl music. I like girl music too, every once in a while. And we have another record up here. This time we're going to get back into my roots here. If you don't know, most people don't realize, like Steve Martin, I was a young black child. And actually, when I got out of high school and I didn't have anything else to do, I got in a white blues band, which, for sake of authenticity, we rehearsed in a black neighborhood, but we were all white. And so I heard a lot of blues music at the time, used to see a lot of these people play, stuff like that. And this particular person, Sonny Boy Williamson, I got turned on to him by a guy that I knew in high school who was a harmonica player, and we used to play the white blues in high school as well. And this particular song is interesting because he uses a harmonica in a strange key. I think it's a chromatic harmonica, but it has such a strange sound to it. It's not the conventional blues sound. And plus, the fact that I think he's always had one of the most expressive blues voices of any of the people. He's never become really as popular as Howlin' Wolf or Muddy Waters, but he's really one of my favorites.
To trust my baby. She always look out for me. I have a right to trust my baby. She always look out for me. That sweet, oh, it's so good to me. I can feel it. Eyes shaking all up under my feet. Every time my baby walk, I can feel it. Eyes shaking all up under my feet. But that sweet, how it's so good to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, most people record songs about love, heartbreak, loneliness, being broke. Nobody's actually went out and recorded a song about real pain. The band and I have just returned from the General Hospital where we caught a man in the right position. We named this song Constipation Blues. Won't be denied. I can't be satisfied. Let it go. Oh, let it go. Oh, wow! This pain down inside just won't let me be satisfied. Let it go. Splash! I feel all right. Yes, I begin to feel all right now. Splash! Oh. Yeah, I tell you, everything's gonna be all right. Splash! Flush. Feel all right.
We had The Real Folk Blues by Sonny Boy Williamson. That's an album called The Real Folk Blues, by the way. Sonny Boy Williamson. It's an old chess album. I don't know if you can still find it, but you can probably get it at Bleecker Bob's or one of those places, you know. And then there's Screamin' Jay Hawkins with a real authentic kind of blues there.
I haven't heard anything like that on the radio ever.
Ever?
That's real blues.
There's no dirty words in it.
No.
The Dada Blues, which were performed by David Bowie and Mick Ronson. I'm not sure if that's Rick Wakeman on the piano or not. I know he played on the Hunky Dory sessions. It's from the Hunky Dory album, but sounds simple enough that David probably played it himself. So no dispersions on his piano playing, but it doesn't sound like Rick Wakeman is necessary to play that. So there was a little foray into Dada music there. Dada music, in case people don't know what Dada music is probably good large percentage of what they're listening to nowadays is Dada music. They just don't know it because it's...
Did that follow the art movement?
That
Or
was
it later?
around the turn of the century.
So at the same time as the art movement?
Yeah, it was an art movement or a phase in art movement that kind of the theory was that if it was weird enough, then it had its own merit. It really didn't have to make sense. That things don't have to make sense. They have their own a unique viewpoint is enough to justify its existence.
Does that make, I guess, John Cage a Dadaist musician?
Dadaist? It doesn't necessarily make him a Dadaist. If John Cage is trying to say something, then he's not being a Dadaist. In other words, if he's trying to get a message across, that's not Dadaist.
No, I don't think he is. I once...
The medium, Dadaism is a very medium is the message kind of thing.
He
It's
liked a
possibly...
water drip once, and
Yeah.
that was his performance.
Yeah, well, it's, I think he leaves a lot of interpretation up to the audience, I'm just saying he possibly is a Dadaist, but if at any point an artist tries to put meaning into what he's doing, or tries to explain what he's doing, then he's no longer Dadaist, because
It's non-existential.
it's very interesting. I've always been into Dada music, dabbled in it a few times myself, and it's always been interesting to me. There was a number of composers who came out of that period. We're going to hear one of them now. He's one of the least Dadaist, but one of my great favorites. But we'll listen to him later. Right now, we're going to. I brought in this thing. Somebody gave this to me. This is a little. You get these little things called Evatone sheets every once in a while in promotional packages, which is like a little thin piece of plastic pressed to look like a record.
Like you used to get from the cereal if you
Yeah.
sent in 2 box tops. And you
Yeah,
get the
things
theme
like
from
that.
Rin
Well,
Tin
sometimes
Tin.
they come in the Billboard or Record World. Somebody hands out a free record or something like that, but it's only like pressed on something about the size of a piece of paper, or the thickness of a piece of paper. And this is an advertisement for a pinball machine. This is a new pinball machine. This is a talking pinball machine.
Todd Rundgren on Radio PIX 102. We'll take some phone calls at 972-0300.
Me, Gorgar. Me, speak. Hear me.
Gorgar speaks. Gorgar speaks of the ultimate challenge, of never-before playing power, of untold mystery. Gorgar speaks to you.
Me, Gorgar. Me, live.
The voice of Gorgar speaks of a first, of a breakthrough, of a feat that will never again know the same significance, because Gorgar speaks. Gorgar is the first and only talking pinball game, given life and breath by Williams Electronics.
Me, Gorgar. Beat me.
The mighty words of Gorgar thunder, echoing throughout the pinball world, and the message is strong and clear. With the advent of Gorgar, it is no longer player versus machine. It is player versus monster.
Me, Gorgar. See me. Hear me. Feel my power.
Gorgar speaks of a whole new dimension in play, of tantalizing excitement and irresistible appeal, of setting new profit records never dared to be dreamed of before. Gorgar speaks of supremacy, of a magic that could be created only by a monster that speaks. Only by a monster with a pulsating, beating heart that builds and pounds with player excitement and urges play on with every beat. Of a monster that comes alive with each flick of the wrist, each snap, each scoring drive.
Me, Gorgar. Me, got you. Me, not let go. Beat Gorgar.
Gorgar's words speak of challenge. Of a challenge that cannot be denied.
Me, Gorgar. Hear me. My words are for you.
Listen to the sound. Hear the words. Feel the incredible playing and profit power that only Williams Electronics could generate. Because when Gorgar speaks, the industry listens.
Oh, excuse me. Okay, how about a couple of PS messages here? Oh, wait, first I got to tell you what we played. We played the Gorgar advert here. Gorgar is new talking pinball machine. I'm sure you'll all be looking for now.
Profit power.
So you can participate in that profit power here. It says here, also comes with a little blurb sheet here with nice little kind of like metallic ink all over it with a big demon-looking guy. So usually to play up on the demonology phase. So that's supposed to be the voice of possessed or something like that. It says, but inside it says, challenge the snake hole and make Gorgar cry out.
Sure. You'll all be into challenging Gorgar's snake hole. Anyway, some Public Service Commission says that Public Service Commission says I should read this. Consumer rights say that your utilities cannot be shut off after 12 noon on Fridays or on Saturdays, Sundays, or holidays. For more information, call 960-4800. And the weather. Metropolitan area forecast.
That was the Yellow Magic Orchestra. A couple of tunes off of an album called Yellow Magic Orchestra. There we go. It had a little intro bit there called Computer Game. No relationship to the current disco punk single. And also a tune called Firecracker, written by Martin Denny, who does a lot of movie soundtracks, things like that.
He did Quiet Village.
Yeah?
Remember Quiet Village? The song that had all the little sound effects in it.
Yeah, he does a lot of movie-type things. Yeah. And one of the principals in this group is a guy named Harry Hossano. Now, it doesn't sound like it from this album, but Harry Hossano, I got originally turned on to him by Bill Wyman. They got a couple of his records from somebody else in Woodstock. And I don't know where he got them, but he's been making records in Japan for quite a while. And he originally started out as this kind of Japanese Dr. John guy. And one of the interesting things we found about their material was the way they interspersed Japanese lyrics and American lyrics. And this is kind of a prime example. The song is called Ruchu Gumbo.
Hi, Todd. How you doing?
Pretty good.
I was wondering, are you going to be doing any tours alone without the band?
I don't really plan any.
No?
On our next tour, we're doing like more expanded solo spots, so everybody will be doing.
When are you going to be touring again? In March or something?
Well, we start in March, but we're starting like in the Midwest. We'll be back in New York, I think, in June.
Where are you playing?
Possibly Madison Square Garden.
That's what you said, really?
Yeah.
Alone?
Just us, yeah.
Really? You think you could fill the whole garden?
Well, I don't know.
That's very interesting.
It's up to you guys.
Well, you know I'll be there.
Okay.
All right, take it easy.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Hi, this is WPIX FM New York's Rock and Roll. I can vouch for that because I was going through the library here looking for something besides rock and roll, and there's not a lot in the tape library, in the record library here besides rock and roll records. Fortunately, I brought my own records, a lot of my own records. I know I'm in for trouble now. You guys are in for trouble, too, because I'm taking advantage of this opportunity here to play one of my favorite pieces of music. Just lately, I've been getting into it more again, and now I have to inflict you all with it. This, of course, is old Maurice Ravel, my favorite composer of all times. I think one of the greatest musicians ever lived. This particular piece, I'll talk over the beginning because it's very long. Starts in a while. But this particular piece, when it was first performed, caused fights and outbreaks in the audience and things thrown on stage and incredibly violent demonstrations because they considered his approach to music so pagan, particularly in the incessant drum beat that went through the entire song. So I'd like you all to sit back now, relax, and listen to Ravel's Bolero here on PIX. WPIX, New York's Rock and Roll. Hi, this is TR. I got my radio name down already. Okay, we started out there with Ravel's Bolero. I'm sure there's some people who sliced their wrists or sending letter bombs to me right now, but I had to do it. I had to take advantage of this opportunity. Somebody told me after it started that it's also figures prominently in a new movie called 10, which I haven't seen, so I don't know about that.
Well, Bo Derek is listening.
Don't really care about it, but
anyway, for Ravel, he can use the resids, I'm sure.
Yeah. He has lots of other good bits of music, too, if you want to check him out, okay? I was a little moldy oldie from Ravel, and then we had Initiation from the album of the same name by some guy here. Am I supposed to read this?
Oh, yeah, if you want to.
Okay. Here, this is for anybody who's into football. Quarterback Terry Bradshaw threw a pair of touchdown passes, including a 73-yard fourth-quarter bomb to John Stallworth to lead the Pittsburgh Steelers to a 31-19 Super Bowl victory over the Los Angeles Rams. It was a record for a Super Bowl championship for Pittsburgh. Okay.
A lot of people had a lot of money riding on that.
So much for event consciousness.
Is that the people who are crossing things off on pads and doing lots of quick figuring? Where's the car parked?
Let me see, that's 100.
Okay. Oh, yes, point spread's very important, isn't that, nowadays?
They beat it by 1.
Okay.
Yeah, but they do better in Europe.
Okay, here comes the obvious questions. What is in store for Utopia Tours? What's going on?
Right now we're doing a little video work. We have to do some of the old promo tape, for our record that you see on all your
Are you going to do
TV programs.
all the songs on the record on the video, or just...
Well, right now we're doing a couple tunes because we got to get out on the road. We don't have time to get into a whole production. They'll be done as excerpts from the script from the TV show. In other words, they won't be just like done just for the sake of being promo films. They'll actually be excerpts from the show, but we'll be performing songs, of course. And when we complete that, we'll start rehearsing. I have a couple production things to do coming up. And by the time we finish rehearsing, which will be about March 15th, we'll undertake a tour that should last us well into the summer, probably. Doing like 2.5-week stints all over the country, one after the other. So
while you're away, video technology will change.
Probably, and I'll come back and my studio will be out of business.
Right. You mentioned excerpts from the TV show. Now, do you actually have a TV script written? Or?
The script is still being developed. It's like I say, that to me the most important thing in television nowadays is coming up with good writing, good scripting. So we spend more time on that probably than on anything else. And right now we're scripting out those excerpts that we'll be doing, and the rest of it we'll worry about when we get the time to do it.
Do you have a clear-cut goal for it? Do you want it on like a network?
Well, ideally, you want the largest audience, which is a network audience. It's whoever buys it, whoever wants to put it on the air eventually. You got to keep those cards and letters coming, folks. That's the idea. Got to send those postcards to the...
People are mailing stuff to you?
Apparently some people are mailing stuff to us, but the important thing is mailing, like, to the networks. It's the same as, like, trying to get Congress to do something, I guess.
Address them to Freddie Silverman.
Freddie, yeah. Say, Freddie. Big Fred, care of NBC, or, I don't know, there's a guy at ABC who's got a weird name I can't even pronounce.
Yeah, it used to be Freddie.
Yeah.
And it used to be Freddie at CBS, too?
You could just put on the envelope the guy from...
Right to Fred.
The guy from ABC.
Head guy.
Head guy. The man...
The chooser.
The man on the power trip, right. And, yeah, that's about the only way that they can be externally influenced. We have to influence them ourselves, like we're piloting out bits of this and trying to hit on them for the idea. It's not a conventional television idea, as you would probably surmise from the way I behave on the radio. So
it'd probably be one of the better things on TV.
Well, I don't know, but we have our own ideas.
Okay. Did I ask
any
all
other
the
obvious questions? Right?
Can you think of any more obvious ones?
Well, how old were you when you first... Our guest disc jockey is Todd Rundgren on Radio, and still to go on this program, Gary U.S. Bonds and Sylvain will be coming up, and the authors of a book that looks back at the 80s. You remember the 80s? Great.
Looking back at the 80s.
Looking back at the 80s.
I remember them fondly, yeah.
Ah, yes. All of that on Radio from PIX 102.
Okay, and I guess we're going to close out with a song from your record, Todd.
Yeah, High Chasm. We were going to play the new single, which is Set Me Free, but we figured if it's really a hit single, everybody will be sick of it soon enough. So we're going to play Rock Love instead.
The PIX to click. Thanks, Todd.